Welcome to Aliyah Pathways, and thank you for joining another episode. I'm your host, Dr.Dahlit Brin, and today's conversation is especially close to my heart, not just because of the subject matter, but also because of my guest. If you are an Ole or an Ola, or you know someone who's parenting or thinking about parenting here in Israel, you know that it can be as daunting as it is rewarding. There is so much joy in raising a family here in Israel, but it also comes with a unique set of challenges, especially when we compare our parenting experience here in Israel to that we grew up in our country of origin, or from those that we see in other places in the world. So many of us find ourselves asking, well, am I doing it right? But then the question is, what version of right is correct? Especially when it comes to such discussions around the family dinner table. And that's why I'm so excited to welcome as today's guest, Dr.Aviva Ainbinder, parenting strategist, coach, expert for ADHD and special needs. And Dr. Ainbinder is not just an expert in her field of expertise, but she's my very own big sister and best friend. She made Aliyah 25 years ago and experienced, like so many of us, what it means to bridge cultures in parenting. She combines her own very personal experience as a mother here in Israel with her professional insights and tools. Together, we will talk about what we affectionately call the parenting culture gap, how it shows up, why it matters, and what we can do to embrace all these gaps and actually enrich our families. We'll share stories, plenty of laughter, and give you valuable strategies for anyone navigating this parenting journey. So whether you're new to Israel or you have been here a lifetime, this episode offers understanding, real support, and maybe a little bit of inspiration. So let's dive in. Dr. Aviva Ainbinder, parenting coach, or actually, as you say, parenting strategist and expert for ADHD. I am super excited that you're here. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us about parenting in Israel, parenting for Olim, a whole world, as we will see as this episode unfolds. I am especially excited because there is a special parenting bond that connects the two of us.
Yes. Because
we actually have the same parents. You are, in fact, my older sister, my big sister. And it is an interesting and also emotional experience for me, since we both started our careers in business and we both somehow ended up actually touching people's lives, helping people, coaching with different focus areas. And having grown up with you, it really doesn't surprise me that you end up being a parenting strategist, because in your essence, you were always a mother, always, not just with me, with friends, with everyone. And so when you decided to switch, you have a PhD in finances, you worked in finance, big companies, and then suddenly you said, no, hold on, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to help parents, because that's who you are. So it makes a lot of sense. And I'm very, very pleased that you're here. So thank you very much. Over the years, we have been talking about parenting a lot. We became mothers pretty much around the same time. And especially in Israel, it's so different to what we knew from when we grew up. And over the years, we actually developed this term. I think we even created it or made it up. It's like the parenting culture gap. Something we will focus on today. There is so much that we talked about in our preparation, which you won't be able to cram in this one episode, but you're so kind. You said that, if we want further episodes, we will do so. So thank you for that in advance. Tell us a bit about yourself to the viewer, the listener, and then we will dive right into the parenting culture gap here in Israel.
So first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited as well. It's actually been sort of my dream to do a podcast, but I never had the nerves.
Oh, okay.
So when you asked me, I was like, yeah, of course.
Great.
So I made Aliyah, too many years ago. 25 years ago.
Right.
Very long time ago. I'm a mother of two.
my wonderful niece and nephew.
Yes. I'm an aunt to 3.
Yes.
And yes, as you said, I became a parenting coach because that's really truly who I feel that is actually my calling. And I specialize in ADHD because there is a lot of misinformation about ADHD, and there is a lot of things that people just don't know. And I just love what I do.
Yes, you do. I can vouch for that.
Absolutely love what I do. And yes, and as you said, having moved to not 1 but 2 countries, the culture gap is real. And turning a parent in a country that is very, very dissimilar to the culture that we grew up in, it's challenging, and it's interesting because I took to a lot of people who made Aliyah.
Right, just like myself, you also work a lot of Olim.
I work with Olim.
With a lot of Olim, veteran, you also people who are doing relocation, Israelis who come back. So all those who move cultures, countries, just like myself. So it's your daily bread, really.
It is, and bridging that gap is easier than people think it is.
Okay.
But it definitely brings its challenges.
Right.
And we're going to talk about this today.
Absolutely. So first of all, just a little anecdote, just to really show what a culture gap could be, because when people maybe think of culture gaps in parenting, it's maybe not as obvious. But for example, I remember when my kid, who's not a lot older, but when she went into kindergarten, and at some point she demanded that she wanted... it's called bamba here. It's like peanut butter, like it's a peanut butter snack.
Yes.
And you want it to kindergarten, or when she is in school and they go on school trips. And the main thing is the snacks, and like the amount of snacks they bring in. Like when we were growing up, or even checking with my friends who are abroad, it's not an issue. Don't bring snacks. You might bring like a muesli bar, like a cereal bar, and that's it. But here's like the main focus. And in the beginning, I had a really hard time with this. And you could say, it's just a little thing, but no, it is an issue, and we need to adjust and decide what's right for us and what's not. So you also said it's a challenge, but it's a gift. And in our preparation, you said, look, you know what? Actually, it is very, very different depending on the constellation of the family.
Absolutely.
So how about if you start with that? Because I think I never thought of that until you said it. I'm like, oh yeah, I never thought of that. And then we go from there.
Okay, so let's start with that you have, broadly speaking, 3 groups of parents who made Aliyah.
Okay.
So you have, like the 2 of us were, we were single, we were young.
Yes.
Both of us met our husbands here in Israel.
Yes.
And
who are Israelis.
Who are Israelis.
Right.
So that is actually one group of people, single people. They moved here. Our partners didn't know what it meant to live overseas.
Right.
They didn't know what it means to leave everything you know,
right,
and move to a different country.
Right.
So that brings challenges in and of itself.
Right, and that's just as a couple.
That's
I mean,
just
we
as a
haven't even
couple.
brought the kids into the
Exactly.
equation.
And then you bring in kids into the equation,
Right.
and then things that are obvious for your partner who's Israeli because this is their culture.
Right.
Isn't that obvious for us?
Right.
So that really is like one group.
Okay, and we'll talk in a minute about what we can do about it. Let's just get through the groups. Okay.
Yeah. So and then you have a second group. You have Israelis who either as a couple or as we moved to Israel, they actually moved to a different country, either as students or for work, and they meet their love of their life and they get married overseas, and then they move back.
Okay, so here we have Israelis who come from this culture, from the background. They go abroad. They are experienced to relocation. They experience what it means to have different culture. They meet the love of their life abroad and bring the bride or the groom here to Israel.
Exactly.
Okay.
Again, that brings different challenges because on the one hand, the Israeli has lived overseas.
Yes.
But they also know what it means to be Israeli. And
Yes.
very often they are the ones who experience the most difficulties.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because coming back to Israel, they see what's wrong with Israeli culture. I don't think there is anything wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
No, it's just different, but they term it as wrong,
right.
As loud kids, chutzpah.
Right.
So there are a lot of...
I just want to add kind of in parenthesis, just want to open this for a bit. Working with Israelis who relocate and return, I also always see that they change and Israel changes. Even if you're just outside of Israel for 3 years, it's not the same Israel you left because it's such a dynamic country. So they now come back to an Israel that it's not 100% different, but it is slightly different. Yes. So that adds another layer of challenges for those returning Israelis.
Exactly.
Right. Just to throw that in the mix.
Yes. Right. And then you have the third set of parents,
right,
who are either like the second set, or they're just standard Olim. They've never lived in this country, and they come back
as a couple.
Sorry,
okay.
And they move to Israel. But they have children.
Okay. So we have one Ole, single, comes to Israel, meets Israeli.
Exactly.
Boy, girl.
Yeah.
Man, woman, marries here. Then we have an Israeli who goes abroad, has the abroad experience, meets the love of their life, brings the groom or bride back. And then we have two Olim who either meet here or marry abroad, come here with or without children. So those are the three different...
The third one is the group that already has children.
So a whole family who already comes here, and they've never lived here. They're both... but they're both like German, French, whatever, and they come here as a family.
Or one of them is Israeli,
what you're saying, but they already come here with children, as opposed to when they... Oh, that's the difference. Okay, so those are the three groups as you see them.
Okay.
But hold on, but wouldn't it be different if you have two Olim who come here, and either as a family or children, because they're not married to an Israeli? So that there also is a culture gap, because there's a culture gap between them and the environment. Or don't you see that?
I see that as a single person.
Okay, fair enough.
It's pretty much the same thing. Okay. But it's basically a family that's moving.
Right.
Because that, you're opening a whole different can of worms over there.
Okay.
Because depending on the child's age,
right,
first of all, no one asks children if they want to move.
Right.
Okay. It's a decision that the parents make.
Right.
And depending on the child's age, they might actually have their own social circle.
Right.
And they're leaving that behind.
Okay. So because it's just so much and so much important things. So let's go step by step. So let's return to the first couple. Origin, single, from abroad, Ola comes here, meets the love of their life, Israeli, born and bred, never lived abroad. They get married, they start having children. What do we do? What are the type of culture gaps that there usually are, and how do we handle it?
Okay, so actually, it starts with how do I address my little baby?
Right.
Do I address it cold? Do I address it hot? I mean, the
oh my
Israelis
gosh,
have this thing
like 7 layers, and you're like it's like 20 degrees outside.
Exactly. That is their culture gap.
Right.
If you look at Norwegians or Swedish, I can't remember, but yes, some like Scandinavian, they put their kids outside when it's snowing and cold. And over here, we are being told that we have to put a hat on when it's like 30 degrees.
Right. Yeah, I never got that.
I never got that. Yeah, I didn't do that either. Then it comes to when we wean off children of the bottle,
right,
or breast milk.
Right.
In what order do we go?
Right.
What do we first feed them? At what age? That's a really funny story. Having grown up in 2 countries, and the internet is full of information. When my firstborn started to eat normal food, I basically looked around, and every country has your own rules.
Right.
And I'm pretty laid back. So
Yes.
I was like, well, what is good for a child in, let's say, America can't be bad for a child in China.
Right.
And if one eats eggs at the age of 6 months and one only at the age of 9 months,
chances are you're okay.
chances are I'm okay. And I remember so that's what I did.
Right.
And I was told I'm a bad mom. I really like the pushback I got from family.
Right. Israeli family.
Was immense.
Right.
And when I went to Tipat Khalaf, which is like, for those of you who are not in this country, Tipat Khalaf is a place you go with your child from birth to about 6 years old. They do checkups,
regular health checks, making sure the child develops properly.
Exactly.
Right.
So when I went with my daughter, who was born a year after my son, she was 6 months old, and I was asked what does she eat, and I was like, yeah, I know eggs are bad, but I still give it to her. And the nurse just looked at me and said, no, it's okay. A week ago we just changed the rules.
Okay, so the rules changed.
Yeah, but it was, but that was definitely a culture gap. So
I would even go a little further. I remember with my own daughter, and because that's the way we were raised. We were raised from a very young age on, using a spoon, using a fork and knife. Obviously, children's food. Like we got an extra set for her with Hello Kitty. And I remember, I'm divorced, so then she was my mother-in-law. No, she's not. Anyway, and my daughter was maybe a year old, or not, even younger, and I gave her a spoon. And in Israel, I don't know why, but children are allowed or expected or educated to eat with their fingers until they're pretty big. For my standards, for our standards. Yeah. And I remember that she was in shock. That she was like, what do you do to the child? And let her be, and let her eat with her fingers. I'm like, but you can hold a spoon. It's it's actually better for brain development. And very quickly she ate beautifully with a spoon, and then very quickly with a little knife and fork. And all the time when I felt when she ate on her own, and my then mother-in-law was there, and she's like, what do you do? But if very, very soon, my daughter was able to eat very nicely, and then she was like, oh, look at her, and I'm like, well, yeah. And yeah, sometimes the pushback we get is quite it's quite intense. I would say, and I'm just as laid back as you. So that certainly is a culture gap. Yes. So how do you suggest you have this mix, Israeli family, non-Israeli family? How do you deal with it in the best way? As a parenting coach, what do you advise in order to avoid as much friction as possible? Okay. Because to be honest, it's a bit silly to argue about these kind of things. Yes, if you ask me,
Yes, it is. So first of all, you're bringing up a very good point, which is. When we make Aliyah, very often we leave family behind.
Right.
And they're left in their culture. And then, and actually what we have to do is we have to examine why we put certain rules into place.
Okay.
Why we do what we do.
Okay.
It's not because, this is how we grew up, but this is something important. For example, table manners. It's something that is very important for both of us.
Yes. In our case, it is. In our case, people who find it less important.
Exactly. Right. So, so we chose to go with the culture that we grew up with.
Right.
And it is something that we explained. I had the same pushback from my family.
Right.
But it's something, it's, just say, okay, this is what is important to us. And that's it. The other way around, I will never forget that when the two of us went back to our parents with all three of our kids, and they went to the playground. And the only kids you could hear in that playground
were our kids. That's true. That was in Germany,
Yes, that was in Germany, because in Germany there is still this culture of children should not be heard. But
not as much today, but they're a lot quieter a lot quieter than Israeli kids. Yes, that's true. And not just on the play, anywhere we went, the only kids that could be heard were ours.
Yes.
Yes.
Not that our kids were that loud.
No, they were just being
kids.
Israeli kids.
Exactly. Now, for us, it was very important that our kids could express themselves.
Yes.
And we're able to play.
Yes.
And if that involves being a little bit louder, that's okay.
Right.
So we brought that part in.
I see.
And this is also what I explained to our parents.
Right.
That this is what is important to us.
So I think this is a really important point. So irrespective of what it is right now, whether it is schooling, table manners, when and how to go to sleep, whatever, what you're saying is, okay, hold on. This is, as challenging it is, this is a really, really good opportunity to reevaluate what's really important to me, why I do what I do. Is it just, well, that's how I was raised, that's, am I just kind of falling into a routine?
Absolutely.
Or does it still align with my values, with my beliefs, with my needs?
Yes.
I think that's really important, really, for anything we do in life, and especially when it comes to children. Absolutely. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So now we understand when you've got a couple where one is an Olim, the other one is an Israeli, born and bred, never lived abroad. Okay. What do you do in the scenario where you have an Olim and an Israeli who came to a different country, culture, experienced some sort of different culture experience, brings that back to Israel, and now needs to adjust to also an Israel that he may or may not know as much, or an Israel that may or may not be as it was when they left, because it always depends how long they were abroad.
Absolutely. So the approach is the same, which is to look at which rules are important, which rules or which values are important and which aren't. So in that case, it's pretty much the same.
Okay.
You might have a little bit more pushback if you bring your culture or the culture that you took on while you were living abroad, because your family is here.
Right.
So that actually, you might get a little bit of a pushback. What I think is more important is the family that moves.
Hold on, but before we get into that, there's something that I'm kind of realizing now that we're talking and giving all these details. I think in one important element that already brings clarity and reduces friction or potential friction is just awareness. Definitely. Just the fact that we are aware now that we're talking, and I wasn't aware of it as clearly as I was after we had our initial talks and preparation for this episode, is just being aware that there are culture gaps, that it depends what setting you have, whether you both are Olim, one is Israeli, one was outside and came back. Just the awareness, because then you kind of have a new set of glasses and you can look at literally anything that crosses your path, whether it's in kindergarten, that bamba that I was speaking about, or whether it is at meal times, or even do we do kiddush or don't we do kiddush,
or what type of kiddush.
Or what type of kiddush. And it's just being aware that there may be, especially in the beginning, but with the child, the challenges grow as they grow, but that there is always need for conversation, for clarification, for checking, also with a partner. Is that okay for you, for your family? How do you do it? I think it just also gives an opportunity and invites everyone just to have more conversations. And I think it's important.
Definitely. My approach, the big why, it's not just talking about, it's also reflecting and asking, why is it important for me? First of all, to have that clarity with myself.
Right. Okay.
Very often we don't talk about the why, especially when it comes to parenting. As you said, I come from the business world, and the why is very, very big in the business world. Like, why do you do what you do? And why is this important? And it's talked a lot about in the business world. But when it comes to parenting, no one talks about the why.
Right, and I think both of us experience that in our clinics. I'm not a parenting coach, but I'm a life and career coach. But it's just giving our clients the opportunity, or they actually give themselves the opportunity, just stop for a second and to think about all these all these important things, and just to reflect upon it for a second, and for us to help them see things and see things differently, already is such a huge help.
Yes.
And that brings so much clarity and reduces so much friction. First of all, as you quite rightly said, it starts with me. I need to understand. I need to be very clear, first of all, about myself, what's right for me as a mother, what's right for me, especially mothers, work-life balance. And there's so many topics. And then once I'm clear about myself, okay, my partner, what's important to you? What's important to your family? How can we combine, align, emerge, and come to a conclusion or a solution that gives room for everything?
Yes. The solution also might be that when we're at one family, we behave slightly differently. And maybe I, like at home, we only allow, I don't know, one sweet a day, and at Saba and Saftas, it's pretty much open end, because it's just once every so often, and let's relax a little bit.
Okay.
Also that, that plays into it. And yes, the world is evolving, and and the kids will grow up, and actually, what we teach the kids over here is that that families or everyone is different, and that we respect that, and that we're flexible enough to.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Go with them.
And also it's important to understand that there are different rules in different places. I mean, I get that a lot. I mean, both of us, we have teenage kids now, and it's a lot. But my friends' parents allow it, and it's like, okay, but that's their choice, and I think that's also important.
Yes.
That's irrespective of whether we're Olim or not, I think. And it's also important to understand that these challenges really change. I mean, when she was smaller, a big issue really were snacks. It sounds ridiculous, but in Israel, food and snacks are such a big issue.
A huge issue.
Especially when you come from a background like us, where it was clear that it's not. But as they're growing, here in Israel, the kids are allowed to spend time outside until much, much later. You wouldn't let your, 14-year-old kid run around 11 o'clock at night in Berlin. It's crazy. But where I come from, this little place called Kfar Saba, on the weekends, it's more acceptable. I still don't allow it. And she understands that, okay, her mom has different rules and standards, and it's important also to communicate that with the kids.
I'll give you another example. My kids had to do chores from a very early age. When even friends, very, very good friends of the family heard about it, we were told that we were bad parents. I mean, because in Israel, it's something that religious people, like, Haredim, they do.
Right, because there's so many kids.
Because they have to.
Right.
But in none, it was a big issue. But it was important for my husband, who, as we said, is Israeli bred and born, and for our children, it's just a non-issue.
I think you just touched upon such an important issue. That's also something that in the beginning I really struggled with, looking at other parents. In my words, and it's probably not most politically correct, but the amount of like pinuk in Hebrew is like the oh my gosh, what it's called, the way spoiling kids here. I was like, what is going on? My kid also has a choice. It's like, why? And I think the army is a big thing. And once I understood that, somebody explained it to me, said, what do you want? At 18, they're off to the army. As parents, and it's sad, and it makes me sad to just talk about it, because I'm going through exactly the same thing, is there is this point when our kids go off, and yes, there is real danger there. And so I think 99%, if not 100% of Israeli parents or parents in Israel, they know that. And we're just trying to love them as much as we can, spoil them as much as we can, because we know more than any other people probably is that time with our kids are so precious. Unfortunately, the last 2 years with the war and with everything, and I'm not going to go into this, but it is an issue, and it's so important to understand that. And that's a culture gap that is so important to understand, because also as parents coming to Israel, we need to understand that this is a fear we will be faced with, and we need to understand how we can best handle it in order to not overspoil our kids, in order to not disable them, in order to allow them to be independent, and to, my kid takes a bus to school, and yes, often I'm so scared and I have to calm myself down. And that's a huge culture gap.
So actually I spoke with one of my clients about this issue. As you know, we're just going through the whole process of getting our son now into the army. It's like the whole recruitment. I mean,
with 17, that's when it starts.
Exactly, and we're now we're actually starting also the process it starts with 16. So he's in the middle, and our girl is now starting. And actually, my kids feel more prepared because they know what chores are. They know that.
Right.
They know that you get up at a certain time. You throw away the road. Like it's not such a culture shock from I can do everything to you have to do.
You're in the army now.
You're in the army now. Right. And actually, where did I learn this? I learned this in school, in boarding school.
Right.
When afterwards, when I met people that we studied in boarding school, and later on I met them, like after the army, and they said the army was easy.
Right.
Because they got the discipline
that's true.
in boarding school. And that was something that was very profound for me. So
right. And that's also the way we've been raised.
Yes.
I mean, we always had our chores in our parents' house. There was a routine. Bedtime was bedtime. So it was
of course.
But boarding school was that next step.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm just watching the time. And I mean, I could talk with you forever, and I can. We haven't talked about the third set yet. So if you could go into that a little, and then there are like another few points before we have to wrap up.
Yes.
So the third set, a family makes Aliyah.
Yes. Okay.
Which is a huge topic, and we're going to have a dedicated session on this because that's too much.
So that's a huge session. That's a huge one. So when the kids are very young, it's not really a problem. Young kids adapt like this.
Right.
I mean, it's really like they pick up the language and everything.
Yes.
The older the kid gets, the older the child gets, the more of a social life they actually have. They have their best friends, and they have the school, and they have their dreams.
Right.
They most probably were dreaming, especially if you get a little bit older kids.
Right.
They were already dreaming about, joining that sports team,
right, going to that university,
right. Or college. Maybe maybe they were fancying this boy or girl, and suddenly they have to leave everything behind, and no one asked them.
Right.
So what I always advise is, first of all, have that conversation very, very, very early on.
Right.
And be prepared that the kids are going through a grieving process.
Right.
Because they are losing something. Grieving is not just, losing something isn't just, someone, dying. God forbid, dies.
Right.
But it's, they're
absolutely.
They're losing their life. They're losing their dreams.
And it's true because, I mean, we left Germany when we were 13 or 14, just before. And it was out of choice because we wanted to go to Carmel College. We worked very hard to get our parents to agree to it.
Yes.
So it wasn't like that they sent us there and no. And yet, I remember, as excited as it was, I was going through a hard time because I left my jitsu club there, left my friends and my best friend. I mean, we're still in touch, but it's different. And yes, and now that you're saying, I was grieving. Now I'm just thinking about this kid who doesn't really get asked. They don't really have a choice. They might even not want to. That must be so hard. And I think this just emphasizes the importance of starting early. So anyone who's thinking of Aliyah, seriously, not just fancy.
Yes.
Really, really get professional help.
Yes.
That's why I do what I do, is like to help people to prepare and understand who needs to be involved in the process.
Yes.
The kids need to be involved. Your family, also the family who stays behind, they need to be involved. They need to be prepared. They want their support. You don't just want to get up and go and leave them hanging. Absolutely.
Yes. And speaking about, getting professional help and being prepared, first of all, there are wonderful organizations out there.
Yes. And I'll be putting links in the description so people have the resources.
That's. But there are also obviously people like you and like I do that help in their native language, which is very, very important.
Yes.
But there's also one issue that a lot of people don't think about, which is school, which sort of brings us to a topic that I know
not today, but we did say we're going to talk about it.
Yes,
the whole idea of education system here in Israel, which is so different.
Yes, the education system is very, very different, and especially if you have a child that is either not neurotypical, even if it's just ADHD, which is
so any special needs, really,
any special needs.
Wow.
You need to prepare. You need to get in contact with special lawyers beforehand. You need to get in contact with someone who knows the system, who can guide you through the system. I just wanted to touch upon.
No, it's important because we did talk about it.
Yes,
because it is such an important topic. And today, I don't know the statistics, but so many children have needs, and it doesn't even have to be a very, very bad case, but so many children today suffer from ADHD and dyslexia and so on. And thank God today there is more awareness and there is more help. And in Israel, I know there is a lot of support, but you need to know it exists. You need to know how to get there.
Exactly.
And that's why, and it's also one of your specialties. Yes. I know that you've also worked as a teacher for many years with special needs children, etc., and learning disabilities and so on. And we did say we're going to do a dedicated episode because it is so important. And if you don't know what exists, if you don't know how to navigate the system, you will not be able to get the support that your child and you as a parent deserve.
Yes.
And need.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. Okay. We really did run out of time. It's like no, I want to talk more, and we will. So, first of all, could you please, if possible, give me 3 gold nuggets if you had to just focus on 3 tips that the viewers and listeners can take away to help them bridge and manage this cultural parenting gap?
Okay, so I think the first one, which in my opinion is the most important one, is be aware that there is going to be this gap.
Right.
And there is going to be, you're going to go through some rough waters.
Right.
Never mind how prepared you're going to be. Okay, just like no one prepares us really.
Brace yourself.
Exactly.
It's going to come.
Brace yourself. Okay. No one taught us how it's going to be. To be a parent.
No one. No.
Okay. Just like that, no one can really 100% prepare you for all the changes that.
Of course.
So just to be aware. So the second thing is to be clear about what is important for you.
Clarity.
Definitely clarity. Okay, ask yourself the why. Ask yourself what do I want?
Right.
What,
and also why. You said it's
and
not
exactly.
What do I want and why do I want it?
Exactly. So as we were talking about the snacks. Okay. Is it important for me that, for my child to be completely, feel 100% part of it, or is their health a little bit more important to me?
Right, and then it depends on the situation.
And then it depends on the situation. Okay.
Right.
So the what and the why.
Yes.
And the third one is definitely get help. Don't do it alone.
Right.
Don't do it alone.
Right.
Because you will pay in the end. And your family will pay in ways that you can't imagine beforehand.
Okay. So awareness, be clear about the what and the why.
Yes.
Get help. And I want to add what I find really important is that you said it's a huge challenge. And it's so challenging that no matter how prepared you think you are, you're going to be not prepared in certain situations, but it's also a gift. It's a gift to reevaluate. It's a gift to communicate better. It's a gift to actually get closer with your children, with your spouse, with your family. And absolutely, and I agree that having gone through it myself, I did get professional help because it is just so overwhelming, so challenging. So anybody who would like to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you?
Okay. Well, first of all, I have a website.
Okay, great. I'm going to put it in the description.
Okay. I have a website in English and in Hebrew.
Wonderful.
So I'll send you the links for both of them.
Okay, wonderful.
Of course, you can find me also on social media.
On social media, wonderful. You will be back for sure.
I will be back.
As I said, we will, or as you said as well, we will talk about children at different ages, what to expect and how to support the children and parents. And we will also talk about the education system. God knows, I just learn along with my child, and I'm lucky that your kids are just that step ahead, so I can always check what you're doing. And the whole world of special needs, and especially ADHD, which is one of your absolute huge expertise. So much to look forward to. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Big sis. And it's such a pleasure to speak with you in this professional environment. And I'm learning so much from you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aliyah Pathways with me, Dr. Dahlit Brin, supporting your journey toward confidence, clarity, and connection in Israel.